Those are Dark Souls.
Hi, and welcome to my channel. If you are new here, I've been on a journey to experience Elden Ring, but first I wanted to try out the famous Souls series, and now there's only one roadblock ahead before venturing into that world. I have linked the fire by defeating Gwyn in Lordran, I have borne the curse and sat on the throne of want in Drangleic, I have met some cute puppies in the Tombs of Giants, and I have survived through the Iron Passage and the Frigid Outskirts. God, even saying those names gives me the heebie-jeebies. Also, unlike my previous playthroughs, I tried finishing Dark Souls 3 without using any guides, and I was pretty successful, only checking a guide like once or twice. To be honest, it's not that difficult because Dark Souls 3 is much more linear than the previous installments, but it made the experience more memorable and I was quite proud of myself. Anyway, now it's time to rise from my coffin and defeat the Lords of Cinder in Lothric. Let's see how it goes. I have not even started playing the game and I was already surprised. The main menu theme? Oh my god, it's so good. Dark Souls 1 was dead silent. Dark Souls 2 was melancholic, depressing even. But when I turned on this game for the first time, I sat there and listened to the whole theme. This theme really feels like you are about to conquer the world, vanquish the vile monsters, die a lot, but in the end rise as a champion. The opening cinematic also has the same feeling. I had no idea what kind of build I wanted to play, so I chose Deprived based on the class description and to get good stats all around. I like to think that this was Derek from my Dark Souls 2 playthrough. After a long passage of time and other factors in the Souls universe, he ended up like this. Ignore the part where he got rid of his widow's peak, changed his hair and changed his skin color. The Throne of Want does things to you, okay?
You already know who it is. It's your boy.
After I got into the game itself, it took some time to get used to the new look compared to Dark Souls 2. Everything looked differently, but in a much better way. I also noticed the new addition to the HUD, a mana pool, but it's actually called Focus Points, FP. With the introduction of focus points, what a better way to give you a new Estus flask by having Oscar handed to you, just like in Dark Souls 1. There was no better way, right? Wait, there are ragdoll physics? We are so back, baby. 10 out of 10. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video. Dark Souls 3 also introduces a new gameplay feature, skills. There are skills that are available for each weapon, each with their own capabilities. Skills consume FP, but it's not required to use them. However, using a skill without sufficient FP will result in reduced effectiveness compared to when FP is available. This means that you can't parry with any shield or weapon like in the previous games. You need to have a parry skill on the shield or weapon. This area has stunning environment, polish and detail.
Ooh, squeaky clean.
I also really like the addition of gestures that persist until you take action, like rest for example. It adds to the immersion, letting you simply sit, reflect and breathe for a moment. You can also finally drink the Estus flask while walking. I used to pray for times like this. Here I noticed that my Estus gained a charge after killing an enemy. From what I've seen throughout the game, this is a hidden mechanic and it happens randomly. Iudex Gundyr is the perfect tutorial boss for this game. The boss fight teaches you a variety of attacks, sweeping blows, slams, delayed strikes, and quick combos. It also sets the stage for a recurring theme in later boss fights, mid-fight transformations or second phases. One thing that I don't really like about this boss fight is that given his size, after he transforms, the camera is often really obstructed. I baited his jumping attacks to defeat him. He does those pretty often, so I think it was intended. Defeating Eudex Gundyr gives you the coiled sword and restores your Ember. Embers are essentially the humanity mechanic from previous games with a slight change. Becoming Ember gives you a 30% HP boost along with other effects such as enabling summons, invasions and restoring full HP on use. It also changes your appearance and this Covenant icon. Ow, that is really hot. They really renovated this place since the last time I was here. There is a lot to unpack about this place, so let me get some basics out the way and then I will explain further as my journey progresses. The moment you step into Firelink, you see 5 thrones, each representing one of the 5 Lords of Cinder. Every throne is custom made for its representative lord, complete with their name engraved on the back. Now you might be asking, who are the Lords of Cinder? Basically, they are beings that have linked the First Flame and prolonged the Age of Fire for centuries. Although many have done so through heroic deeds or even free will, not everyone became a Lord of Cinder this way. Some did awful shit like devouring countless number of humans just for pleasure. No, Aldrich, you can't eat that person. It's past 9, time for bed. Now! In the opening cinematic it is said that the flame is fading, and since Prince of Lothric refused to link the flame, the bells are tolled and the Lords of Cinder are awakened to link the first flame once again. However, they simply say no lol and just crawl back to their hidey holes. As a last resort, the Unkindled, you, the player, is resurrected to bring them to their thrones by any means necessary. Still with me? Alright, let's introduce the main cast of the shrine very quickly. Hawkwood the Deserter, basically the crestfallen soldier from previous games. Bloodleaf of Corland, the only Lord of Cinder to come here willingly. Firekeeper, pretty self-explanatory, allows you to spend souls to level up. Shrine Handmaid that looks very similar to one of the Firekeepers from Dark Souls 2. She is the primary merchant of the shrine. And at last, we have the man, the myth, the legend, Blacksmith Andre. Pretty self-explanatory as well. However, what is new is that you can allot your Estus flasks here, which is a great feature if you're not really dependent on FP, for example. You just pump up those sweet orange juice flask charges and enjoy. That's pretty much everyone you meet at the start. As you progress through the game, you'll encounter more NPCs who make their way here.
I just woke up in a fucking steaming mood, yeah? Because I live in a shithole! I hate the fucking place!
There's the Swordmaster around the corner of Firelink Shrine, so I tried to take him on, but failed and moved on. At least I got some parries in. I seriously did not expect some random hollow suddenly transform into this grotesque monster just like Eudex did. It completely caught me off guard and got me killed. Then when I moved on, a freaking dragon swoops in, starts breathing fire everywhere, and I have to take this other path, but there's this knight that patrols here and he just bullies me for some time and I just wanna go home.
Michael! Don't leave me here!
Huh, what does this message have to say? I mean, it's gotta be important, right? Oh. Well, if you say so. Jeez, this big dude. You have to fight smarter, not harder, you know? Which means throwing a bomb one at a time when he forgets about your whereabouts. Also, I was pretty anxious that one of the night corpses would come back to life and just obliterate me, but thankfully this did not happen.
Nice.
I fucking hate it!
Here I freed Greyrat, who gives you a quest to bring a ring to a woman named Loretta in the Undead Settlement. After that he relocates to Firelink, where he becomes a merchant.
It's a trap! Triple kill!
Here I ran into my very first technical issue with the Souls series, freezing. I had zero technical problems with Dark Souls 1 or Dark Souls 2, but in Dark Souls 3 I occasionally experienced random freezes, which was pretty annoying. I have no idea why it was happening. My specs were totally fine and I could not find any solution online. Luckily these problems were not that frequent, so it didn't ruin the experience. At first I thought this was a boss room, but instead I found Emma, who tells you that the Lords of Cinder don't care and hands you a banner along with your very first covenant to proceed. She also warns you about the vile watchdog of the Boreal Valley. Like, what do you mean, ma'am? I love dogs.
Bye.
The fuck?
Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me show you the moment that got me absolutely hooked on this game. At first the fight felt slow and sluggish, but after a certain threshold, Ward goes completely feral, sprinting all over the place, and the music kicking up with him. Ooh, perfection. Defeated Ward on my second try. Hey, I remember these guys. I know what happens next. Oh, I can see my house from up here. Hey, could you drop me off right there, please? I have to say I really felt like a total noob in the high wall of Lothric. It gave me the same feeling I had when I first explored the Undead Burg back in Dark Souls 1. Checking every nook and cranny, managing limited resources, and feeling hopeless while constantly running low on Estus Flask with way too many enemies still ahead of me. The Knights of Dogs gave me a hard time, and I even tried parrying again, which, yeah, definitely isn't for me. But honestly, I loved it. It felt great to be a clueless newbie all over again. Close to the entrance of the Undead Settlement, you meet Yoel of Londor, who is actually one of the most important NPCs in the game. If you want a certain ending, you need to follow his questline. Yo, is that Hawkeye Golf from Dark Souls 1 up there? I can't wait to meet an old friend. I mean, we defeated Calamity together, so I wonder what he's been up to. Hey, is that arrow coming towards me? I found Loretta's bone on this corpse, and then, using my big brain, I did some trick shots with bombs. This genuinely scared the shit out of me. They showed these guys earlier, but none of them were alive back there, so it did trick me. Even though you can clearly tell the difference between a living one and a dead one, I was preoccupied with this new shiny item that I didn't notice at all. Well played. Here you can also find a random cauldron of Estus soup. Like, what? Do they have Getafix hidden somewhere around here brewing this stuff? After making progress, I went back to Firelink and checked in with Yoel, who gave me a free level. Thanks, dude. I also spoke to Grey Rat and gave him Loretta's bone. Back in the settlement, I had my first NPC invasion, and this fight went on for like 8 minutes. At first we traded a couple of blows. He used an AoE spell that weirdly enough also healed me. He even parried a couple of my strikes, which I was surprised by. Then I accidentally aggroed the big guy nearby, so I decided to just restart. The second attempt he had trouble getting to me for some reason, so I restarted again. 3rd time's the charm. I gave him a taste of his own medicine, parrying, and when he tried to heal I quickly moved to the offensive. I used the healing myself and defeated him. What a duo. I showed this clip earlier, but this section of the area is so chaotic and nerve-wracking.
Hey, man, you need to sit your motherfucking ass.
I just couldn't figure out how to dodge the arrows.
I'm the giant rat that makes all of the rules.
This was the moment where I found out about the dark sigils, and looking back my reaction was pretty funny. I saw this black hole looking item in my inventory and thought, wait, accumulates curse? What? A black gaping hole in the flesh. This dark sigil will never heal, and now I have a hollowing status too. The character will turn hollow if the curse grows too severe. I'm going to die, aren't I? Turns out, I was panicking over nothing. You can accumulate up to 5 sigils from leveling with fuel, and it's just a part of a special ending. Your appearance changes a bit after each death, but that's about it. Since FP was a new mechanic, I figured I'd make the most of it. So, for the first time in the series, I gave casting a shot, mainly just to squeeze a bit of healing here and there.
What a gamer. What a god of a gamer, seriously.
If you give Greyred Loretta's bone, he will ask for permission to go on scavenging missions. If you grant him this permission, he will venture out and bring back various goods, which he will then sell back at Firelink. I bought a grave key from the Shrine Handmaid to explore the settlement a little deeper. It just wouldn't be a Dark Souls game if there weren't resurrecting skeletons in a deep dark dungeon, and this certainly isn't foreshadowing whatsoever.
Is it okay if I touch you?
This is Irina of Karim, who came to Lothric to become a firekeeper, but as you can see, it didn't really work out for her. She can teach and sell miracles to you back in Firelink. This is Aegon, Knight of Karim, who is Irina's bodyguard. With the settlement fully explored, it was time for another boss fight. The curse-rotted Greatwood. When you enter the huge arena, you'll notice a few undead worshipping this massive tree. They stay passive at first but become hostile if you get too close. Also, here's a neat little detail: the most basic undead can actually be staggered just by rolling into them, which can buy you a second to breathe or set up an attack. The actual boss fight is fucking disgusting. Ew, what is that? At first I was confused because attacking the Greatwood wasn't doing any damage. After a while I figured out that you have to hit this ball set to deal damage. Yes, that is the weak spot. When you deal enough damage and pop the sack... That is a sentence I never thought I would be saying. This happens. Appropriate reaction to having your balls explode. The second phase of this fight has a grab attack that looks really janky in my opinion. I can't believe I got so close to beating this boss on my first try, all while figuring out its moveset and mechanics. Call me crazy, but I'm one of the few people who like the Bed of Chaos boss fight in Dark Souls 1, so this one worked for me too. I ended up beating the curse-rotted Greatwood on my second try and got its soul and the transposing kiln. Gave the transposing kiln to Ludleth, which unlocked the ability to transpose boss souls into weapons, spells or rings. And guess who made it back safe from his scavenging mission? That's right, Greyrat! Let's all say it together, we love you, Greyrat!
Unkindled one.
No, Greyrat, you were followed! What did I tell you about not getting caught?
Winner.
Moving forward, I met Sigurd of Katarina.
Ooh.
I really like this dude, but sadly, I didn't do his quest line, because for some goddamn reason I didn't go up the tower. I went down instead, where I encountered a Knight of the Boreal Valley and its crazy moveset. Defeating the knight gave me the Arythiel Straight Sword, and I gotta say this is one of the most OP early game weapons you can get in my opinion. Its stat requirements are pretty low, it has great damage values and additionally gives Frostbite status, which does a lot of damage when it builds up.
Shut up.
You're goddamn right.
Here I met Henry of Astora and Horus. And got the Blue Sentinel's Covenant. When I came back to Firelink I met Cyrus and Leonhard. Look, I'm sorry, I know it's a lot of NPCs, most of them don't really matter in my playthrough, but I just want to show you my journey, okay? Henry and Horus are important to one of the endings, Cyrus has her own questline which I didn't do, and Leonhard is just this edgy dude that wants you to invade other players. I remember seeing clips before playing Dark Souls 3 where the Firekeeper reacts to your gestures, so naturally I had to test it out here. Came across a weird looking summon sign that glowed purple, and when I interacted with it, it said it's a Mad Phantom. Not knowing what it was at the time, I didn't summon it, just to be safe. Next up, you already know what I did, met another NPC of course. Orbegot Vinheim here relocates to Firelink if you promise to bring sorcery scrolls to him. At Firelink he sells sorceries and accepts the previously mentioned scrolls. After that I went to fight the Crystal Sage. This is a pretty forgettable and tedious boss fight in my opinion. My whole boss fight experience was basically run up, smack it a few times, wait for it to reappear and repeat. In the second phase it summons clones that vanish after one hit, but you can tell which one is real by the color of their magic. Not the most exciting boss fight, but hey, it's over quick enough. Moving on, I had another NPC invasion by Yellowfinger Hazel, which started off really chaotic. There were a few close calls, but I managed to come out on top. I may have cheesed the fight a bit by luring Hazel near a cliff and landing some plunging attacks, but hey, you gotta use the environment. A win is a win. Look who we have here. The famous Black Knight from Dark Souls 1. You already know what I'm going to try to do.
Your little pussy belongs to me.
What the? Is he saying something?
Talking about spiffy. You know you bad.
What the fuck is going on here?
Before exploring the despair ahead, I went to explore the other path leading out from the Crystal Sage boss room.
What the hell? Oh my god, no way, yeah.
This is Slave Knight Gale. He's pretty out there.
Fire for Ariandel.
I didn't help him right away because he mentioned Ariandel, and well, one of the Dark Souls 3 DLCs is literally called Ashes of Ariandel. So yeah, we'll come back to that later. Don't worry, this isn't the last time we'll be seeing Slave Knight Gale. After visiting Gale, I headed back to the Farron Keep, which is basically a huge poisonous swamp. In classic From Software fashion, this is a pretty annoying area to go through. At least the swamp doesn't slow you down like in the previous game. Never mind, there are parts that slow you down. Great. If you're not aiming for full exploration, you can actually move through the area pretty quickly. But if you are exploring, it's a pain in the ass. I got lost constantly, and with the poison ticking away at your health, you have to keep an eye out on your HP bar the entire time. The main objective here is to extinguish 3 flames and open the door to Wolf's Blood.
First time trying a cigarette? Let's chase the buzz. I'm fucking tweaking! I'm fucking tweaking!
Climbing this ladder takes you to the Watchdogs of Farron, a PvP focused covenant that I'll talk about more later. While exploring, I was summoned to another world as a Blue Sentinel. This covenant's goal is to protect other players from invaders. It was a close fight, but I won. As if the swamp wasn't bad enough, you've also got these Elder Grus roaming around. They've got a ton of health and their attacks summon homing missiles that completely shut down your attack windows. Easily some of the most annoying enemies in the entire game. With that little turn of events, I explored the other side of the bridge where we met Yol, and guess who I ran into? An old friend who's definitely changed since the last time I saw him. Hello, Stray Demon! Man, I really wish I had binoculars here. I can see some structures in the distance and they look strangely familiar. I got invaded by Hazel again, but this time I came up with a plan. On accident while trying to flee from this goddamn Elder Gru.
A few moments later.
And speaking of familiar faces, look who also made it here, the Dark Wraiths. Another blast from the past, except way more aggressive than I remember from Dark Souls 1. These guys hit hard and they are not here to mess around. And of course the Basilisks as well. Can't forget about the Basilisk. Okay, what's all this ruckus here? Could you keep it down? I'm kinda in the middle of... This was the first real challenge of my playthrough, the first Lord of Cinder boss fight I experienced. At first I was surprised by how much damage I was dealing, but then another Watcher joined the fight. Okay, this is still manageable. A third one? Oh, it's going after the other two. Well, that was not hard. The challenge of this boss fight comes from its two very different phases. In the first you face 3 Abyss Watchers, 2 of them are hostile to you, while the third one actually turns on the others. The hardest part here is trying to deal damage while dodging their fast, wide-reaching attacks. Then comes the second phase and everything changes. It's now a one-on-one duel with a completely different moveset that's much more AoE focused. Learning and adapting to both phases takes time, and it definitely took me a while, around an hour actually. But I've gotta say, this ended up being one of my favorite boss fights in the whole game. It's fast, cinematic, intense, the atmosphere is incredible, and the soundtrack just ties it all together perfectly. In fact, I like this boss fight so much that I even cosplayed as one of them for quite a while.
Why are we still here?
Fucking meow!
Catacombs of Carthus is a pretty mid area. I mean, visually it looks really cool and complex, but the resurrecting skeletons or skeleton swordsmen and traps were getting on my nerves for most of the time. But enough of that. Let me tell you about my favorite weapon in the whole game. The Farron Greatsword. Transposing this weapon sealed the deal on my Abyss Watchers cosplay, by the way. It has a special moveset when dual wielding, just like the Watchers, with a 3 attack combo that looks rad as fuck! Paired with the Undead Legion set, and in my opinion it's the best looking greatsword in the game. It's not amazing against certain bosses, but for PvE and general exploration, An absolute workhorse. In PvP it really shines against less experienced players, that 3-hit combo can catch them off guard, but against veterans it's definitely not the most reliable pick. Still, despite all its flaws, I genuinely cherish this weapon. Got invaded in a dead end by Night Slayer Zorik, who packs a punch, but this time my plan was not accidental. I keep telling you, man, you've gotta use the environment to your advantage. You gotta use your big gamer brain.
Don't like me, but I don't care what
Hello, motherfucker.
My opinion on the area also includes High Lord Volnir. Yeah, it's a cool looking boss, a giant skeleton crawling out the abyss, but the fight itself is unbelievably easy and boring. But you know what's not easy and boring? The sponsor of today's video. No, I'm just kidding. But you know what's not easy and boring? Life. Because yo just fucking died out of nowhere. After an hour of sweating my ass off in the catacombs, I finally made it outside and was greeted by a breathtaking view that many of you probably know and is iconic to Dark Souls 3. I'll let this one play out. Hey, what is that structure on the left that's covered in mysterious fog? I feel like I've seen it somewhere. This don't feel right.
Holy what is that? What the fuck is that?
That encounter was scary, but I can't deal with that beast. For now, I have to backtrack a little, because on the bridge I came across a message that said, "Bring a doll to be granted passage." First I went to explore the Farron Keep, which was amazing. I had so much fun going through that place again. Got summoned to another world as a blue sentinel, but lost this time. Really enjoyed how there was another birch tree arrow section with slowed down movement this time, making it nearly impossible to dodge. Jeez, I'm such an idiot for not going up the tower and killing that Hawkeye clone.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
This time I invaded as part of Watch Dogs of Farron Covenant. I have to say I really don't care much about Covenants in this game, except for like one. Blue Sentinels is alright, you help defend other players from invaders, which is a nice idea. But Watch Dogs of Farron, it's basically PvP dueling, and I'm not really into that. At first I thought it'd be cool, like, oh, you are guarding this sacred place, the description even says so. Something like the Red Covenant from Dark Souls 2, you know? But in reality you just keep invading some sweaty PvP god who has never heard of a shower and just wipes the floor with you. I even got matched with the same guy twice. After that I just dipped. It got so immersion breaking that I unequipped the Covenant entirely. Then I made my way to the Cathedral of the Deep. Quickly ran past this graveyard because it's pointless to kill these hollows, they just keep coming back. Why is everyone talking about the torch? I don't understand. Oh, that's why. I guess I have to go back to Firelink because I don't have one. Okay, back to it. I'll just quickly heal. What happened? Why can't I heal?
What did you do to me?
Getting into the cathedral was amazing. I was genuinely blown away by how big and detailed this place is. And ew, gross, did you seriously poo-poo all over the floor? Also, I was super low on HP, no FP, and completely out of Estus after a couple of beatings by Greyrat's clones. So when I saw the glorious message Bonfire had, man, the relief I felt. Easily one of the best feelings you can have in a Dark Souls game. After dodging attacks from the Poo-Poo monster and killing enemies, I came across the most terrifying monster in the whole game. In a room I call the horror room. I knew that this was probably a trap, but seeing this creature called the Deep Accursed block my exit was something I totally did not expect, and I loved it.
Another day, another victory for the OG, taking down the sweats.
When I first pulled this lever on the bottom floor and saw the bridge rise, I had the craziest brain blast. I thought, wait, what if I lured the giant here and trapped him? Genius, right? Turns out that's not how any of this works. The giant just stands there completely unbothered. And to my knowledge, this bridge is totally useless. And here I thought I was being clever. I can't have shit in Lothric. Exploring the good old rafters. You know, some things never change. And that goes to show... Yo, where did that guy go? This is one of those rare moments where the Farron Greatsword absolutely shines in a boss fight. Normally, when you go for the glowing deacon, the others rush in to protect him. But with this weapon, you just spin around and... No, you don't! Later in the second phase, where there is this main deacon with a few colleagues dressed in blue, I thought they were casting a spell that will hit me. But turns out if you let them finish, they fill the whole area with cursed fog and you ultimately die. You have to interrupt them. I thought I would be fighting Aldrich in the cathedral, but the deacons were a unique surprise and they fit the theme well in my book, so yeah, pretty decent. When Greyrat discovers that you made it to Irithyll, he wants to pillage again. So I told him, go for it!
I am Greyrat the Thief. What I bring back will be worthy of that name.
Defeating the deacons gives you a small doll, a key item needed to pass into Irithyll. These undead are all over Irithyll, and they can also be found being invisible until you come near them. They are not that difficult to deal with, but their strength is in numbers. I don't know what it is, but I always struggle with dogs in these games. They are so fast, their hitboxes feel tiny, and they just stress me out every time. Whenever I see dogs in Souls games, I immediately get nervous. I actually went the wrong way at first, straight into a Irithyll dungeon. I literally walked past the path I was supposed to take, but I guess I just felt like exploring more, I don't know. I know I get jump scared from time to time in these games, but holy fuck. This one was seriously not cool. It was so loud I physically flinched in my chair. What the fuck are you looking at? You could have warned me about this, you know. I bet you that's why you're rotting here, you... forget you! Safe to say I didn't like this at all. Period. Speaking of not cool, these jailers are the worst. When their lanterns grow red and you're in their line of sight, your max HP melts. Sure, it slowly comes back, but the chunk they took, yeah, that's gone for good. I think you can tell that I don't like the Irithyll dungeon. It's full of bullshit jump scares and enemies, so it's not enjoyable to go through.
Among Us! Jesus Christ. Fucking hell, man. I'm finished.
After that first jump scare, I became paranoid. I actually checked if the hollow was alive, and when I saw it was, I turned down the volume on my headphones just to grab the item. The scream triggered the jailers, and since there was a ton of them, I got absolutely wrecked. I wonder if something in the distance that looks fully rendered will fly at me when I start crossing this bridge. Oh, how could this happen?
This place is flippin' mental.
I went back to Firelink and decided to finally buy the key that cost 20,000 souls to the tower behind Firelink. Also got my revenge on the Swordmaster. Well played. At the top of the bell tower, I picked up the Firekeeper soul. And on my way back down, well, look who it is. Our beloved friend Patches. Spotted an item down below, so I gathered up the courage and went for the jump.
Aim for the bushes.
Frankly, I was disappointed that I didn't show Patches, who's the boss around here. Giving the soul to the Firekeeper gives the option to heal the Dark Sigil. 66,000 souls?!
You gotta be kidding.
You.
I explored the majority of the profaned capital and farmed the 66,000 souls to heal the Dark Sigil. Because like I said before, I thought something bad would happen to me if the hollowing status reached 100, and it made sense to me that the Firekeeper was the only way. With that sorted, let's move on to the second Lord of Cinder boss fight. Yorm the Giant. Right off the bat, I noticed that something was off when my Farron Greatsword was doing next to no damage to Yorm. Then I saw an item placed next to Yorm's throne, which was strange since boss arenas don't usually have items just laying around like that. So I went to pick it up and it turned out to be a greatsword called the Storm Ruler. I died, came back and tried using the Storm Ruler without reading the description like a dumbass, and of course did no damage again. Back at the bonfire I finally read the description and learned about the weapon skill, so I practiced a bit. Turns out I wasn't holding the skill long enough to charge it. I actually had to look it up at the time because I had no idea what I was doing wrong. Once you figure all that out, the actual fight becomes a piece of cake. It only takes around 5 hits from the Storm Ruler's skill to bring Yorm down. The challenge in this Lord of Cinder boss fight doesn't come from his moveset or phases, but from the mechanics. Finding the Storm Ruler and figuring out how to properly use it. I was a little disappointed that the fight ended up being that easy after solving this puzzle, but thematically it makes sense. I mean, how else would you realistically take down a giant like Yorm? Plus, his theme, build up for the fight, going through the profaned capital, trying to piece together what happened with all the corpses is amazing. So overall, I actually like this boss fight. After defeating Yorm, I explored the rest of the profaned capital, its church. While fighting these grotesque monsters, I ended up getting stuck in the terrain after one of them landed a grab attack. I actually found it kind of funny. I hadn't encountered any bugs like this in the previous game, so it was a surprise to see something like that happen. Still, the fact that this stood out so much just goes to show how well built From Software's games usually are. After fully exploring the profaned capital, I found the jail's keyring, which let me go back and free Carla from her cell in the Erythil dungeon. She is a child of the Abyss, and once freed, she relocates to Firelink, where she sells dark sorceries, miracles and pyromancies. And now we finally head back to Erythil. But unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today. With the 2 of the Lords of Cinder down, we are officially at the halfway point of the base game. So we'll take on the rest in the next video to keep this one from getting too long for your viewing pleasure. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to drop your thoughts in the comments below, smash that like button and subscribe for more. I know it's been like 6 months, half a year since the last upload. And if you're new here, no big deal. But to my subscribers, I'm sorry it took so long. I had to figure out a lot of shit. I had a lot of work in college. I completely switched from desktop to a laptop, which was a journey of its own. Setting this up was a real bitch, but I'm really happy how it turned out. You know, trying my first time setting up a green screen and the lighting and stuff. It was difficult, but I think it turned out really well. And just scripting felt especially hard this time because, like, how am I going to finish this amazing journey? However, the last few months were quite amazing, and I hope I'm not jinxing myself right now. With all that said, I'll see you in the next one, where, spoiler alert, more bosses are gonna beat my ass. Take care. Cheers.